Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a really practical look at Indonesian language and culture. Specifically, we're focusing on something pretty everyday. How you'd actually go about sending a parcel from Indonesia.
Right. And our guide for this is a set of lesson notes. They're titled Beginner S1 #15, Sending a Parcel from Indonesia.
Yeah, and don't let that beginner tag fool you. This isn't just, basic words. It's actually a really rich source. You get dialogue, vocab, grammar, and even some surprising cultural and economic context packed in there.
Exactly. It's perfect if you want to get up to speed quickly on something practical about life in Indonesia. Or even if you're just curious about how these simple transactions link up to bigger things.
So our mission really is to pull out the most important nuggets from these notes. We want to see what sending a package actually tells us about talking to people in Indonesia, the little cultural things, and even the economy.
It's amazing how much a seemingly simple conversation can reveal.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We'll start with the core dialogue from the source. It's a conversation between a customer, let's call him Andi, and a post office clerk, PO. Listen to how this plays out. I'll give you the Indonesian line first, then the English. So Andi starts. Permisi, saya ingin mengirimkan paket ke Singapura, which means, I would like to post this package to Singapore.
Okay, standard polite opening.
Then the PO replies, Baik Pak, dengan paket biasa atau paket kilat. Yes, sir, would you like to use the regular mail or express mail?
The first choice, regular or express.
Andi asks, Berapa lama pengiriman melalui paket kilat? How long will it take by express mail?
Good question. Practical.
The PO says, Ke Singapura kurang lebih 2 hari kerja. To Singapore, approximately 2 working days. Then Andi follows up. Berapa biayanya? How much is the cost?
Naturally, the price.
The clerk responds, Coba saya timbang dulu. Beratnya 16 kilograms, biayanya 160,000 rupiah. Let me weigh this first. For 16 kilograms, the cost is 160,000 rupiahs.
Okay, so weight determines the cost. 160,000 rupiah for 16 kilos.
Andi then asks, Apakah kita bisa mengetahui kapan paket ini akan sampai? Can we find out whether this package will arrive? Or maybe when it will arrive?
Right, tracking.
Yeah.
Essential these days.
And the PO confirms, Anda bisa melacak paket melalui nomor EMS ini. You can track the package through this EMS number.
There you go. So what's really striking here, I think, is just how functional this little exchange is. It's not fancy language, but it gives you everything you need for this specific task.
Exactly. It's a foundation. You learn how to be polite, ask about options, time, cost, tracking.
Yeah, these are phrases you could use in so many situations, not just the post office. Asking how long or how much, initiating contact politely. It's incredibly useful for anyone actually, doing things in Indonesia.
Right. And that leads perfectly into the vocabulary section of the notes, because understanding these keywords is crucial. Let's take Ananda, for instance. It means you. Simple enough, right?
Well, yes and no. It means you, but the notes rightly point out it's the polite form. Using Ilanda consistently, like in the dialogue, signals respect. It's not like the English you, which is, pretty neutral.
That's a great cultural insight right there. Politeness is baked into the language choice. And then permisi, excuse me.
Again, vital. It's how you politely get someone's attention or initiate an interaction. Not using it might seem abrupt. It's like a social smoother.
Definitely. Then you have the core nouns and modifiers. Packet is package, obviously. But then biasa, regular, versus kilat, express. That contrast is key for understanding service options.
Absolutely. And that kind of distinction, standard versus premium, pops up everywhere, not just mail.
True. Then the action words. Kerowi to find out, timbang to weigh, lakak to track, and no more number. These verbs really define the process itself.
They do. And learning these isn't just about sending parcels. Kerowi, finding things out, that's universal. Timbang weighing, you see that in markets all the time. And lakak, tracking, well, you can track anything, information, people, not just mail.
So these words have broad applications.
Definitely. They unlock understanding in loads of different contexts.
Okay, the source also gives sample sentences to show this flexibility. Let's look at a couple. For Anda, the polite you, karena adalah nasabah istimewa, Anda boleh duduk di ruang tunggu eksekutif.
Which translates to,
since you're our premium customer, you may have a seat in our executive lounge. See? It's used for that formal, respectful customer service tone.
Right. Beyond just the post office clerk, it reinforces that politeness standard in service interactions.
And for Berapa lama, how long?
Berapa lama penerbangan dari Jakarta ke Tokyo? How long does it take to fly from Jakarta to Tokyo?
Perfect example. Shows it's not just for package delivery times. It's the standard way to ask about duration for almost anything travel, waiting, projects.
Yeah, very versatile. The notes also dig a bit deeper into phrase usage. For Berapa lama, they explain it's specifically about time consumed. And it breaks down neatly. Berapa means how many or how much, and lama is about a time unit.
So it's literally like how much time. Pretty much. The example they give is, berapa lama lagi kita harus menunggu dia? How long more should we wait for him? Shows you can modify it too.
Interesting. What about melikak?
Right, to track. The notes point out the root is lakak, meaning to trace or track. And what's cool is how you can change it. Add P, peloan, and lakak becomes pelecakan, the tracing or the tracking.
So noun formation. That's useful to see.
Yeah, it shows how the language builds on itself. The example is, polisi berhasil melacak pelaku kejahatan dari pakaian korban. The police could trace the perpetrator from the clothes of the victims.
Wow, okay, so definitely broader than just parcels. Police work, investigations.
Exactly. And no more number, well, that pops up everywhere too. Like no more, you're at sequence number, no more unique number, even no more CISWA student number.
Foundational stuff for any kind of admin or ordering.
Okay, this naturally leads us into asking questions, specifically how questions. This was a key part of the original dialogue.
Right, we saw Berapa lama for how long. But the notes make a really important distinction here between Berapa and Bagaimana.
Yeah, what's the difference there?
Berapa is generally for quantity, amount, duration, measurement, things you can count or measure. Bagaimana is for the method or process how you do something, or the state or condition of something.
Okay, so like asking for directions.
Exactly. You wouldn't use Berapa, you'd ask. Bagaimana cara ke Ragunan? How does one go to Ragunan? Or like, what's the way to Ragunan? It's about the how-to.
Got it. So Berapa is for the how much, how many, how long type questions. The notes give a basic pattern. Berapa plus subject plus complement.
And they provide this fantastic table showing how Berapa combines with different words to ask specific how questions. It's really useful.
Let's run through a few. Berapa lama is how long time.
We've seen that one.
Berapa banyak is how many or how much for quantity.
Okay.
Berapa harga is specifically how much money, the price.
Crucial for shopping.
Berapa besar, how big. Berapa tinggi, how tall.
Descriptions, measurements.
Berapa dizia, how old. Berapa jarak, how far,
Right, distance.
and Berapa siring, how often.
Frequency. Wow. Okay, so Brava is a real workhorse for questions.
It really is. And knowing that pattern helps you formulate so many useful questions like, Berapa harga kain ini? How much is this cloth?
And the answer structure is usually pretty direct, right?
Yeah, often just subject plus answer. So, for the cloth, kain ini 300,000 rupiah per meter. This cloth is 300,000 rupiahs per meter.
Simple enough.
Or another example, Berapa usia kakak Anda? How old is your sister?
Answer.
Kakak saya 31 tahun. My sister is 31 years old.
So, bringing this back to the original post office chat.
Exactly. The questions Andi asked fit this perfectly. Berapa lama pengiriman melalui paket kilat? How long by express mail?
And the answer. Lamanya dua hari kerja, it takes 2 working days. Direct.
And the cost question. Berapa biaya pengiriman melalui paket kilat? How much is the cost by express mail?
Answer. Biayanya 160,000 rupiah. The cost is Rp 160,000.
So understanding that Berapa structure is, well, it's incredibly empowering for navigating everyday situations where you need to ask about time, cost, size, age, distance, all sorts of things.
It really moves you beyond just basic statements.
Absolutely. Now, we've pulled apart the language, the phrases, the grammar, but the source material does something else really interesting. It connects this whole parcel sending scenario to the bigger picture Indonesia's economy.
Yeah, this cultural insight section is fascinating. He gives you context that you wouldn't normally get from just a language lesson. It points out that Indonesia has the largest economy in Southeast Asia. We're talking a GDP of 878 billion US dollars back in 2012, with pretty strong growth then, around 6.2%.
That's significant.
It is. But, and this is crucial, the notes also highlight the challenges. Things like high inflation, it mentions 5.2% in 2013, and the rupiah fluctuating quite a bit, plus a reliance on foreign investment.
So it's a big economy, but maybe a bit volatile.
That seems to be the picture, yeah. It means that the cost of things, even sending a package internationally, can be tied into these larger economic shifts, like the exchange rate.
Makes sense. It grounds the practical task in reality. What else did the notes mention?
Well, there's this really surprising point. Despite having oil drilling, Indonesia is actually a net importer of gas and petroleum.
Really? How does that work?
It suggests a huge domestic demand, maybe from industrialization or population growth, outpacing their own production. It highlights reliance on imports, even for resources they technically have. It's quite a paradox.
Wow. Okay, so if they're importing oil, what are their main exports?
The notes lists coal, natural gas, and palm oil as the big ones.
And who are they selling to mainly?
Their biggest export partners are Japan, China, and interestingly, Singapore.
Singapore, the destination for Andi's parcel in the dialogue.
Exactly. It's not just a random choice for the example. It reflects real major trade links. Singapore is a huge hub for Indonesian exports.
Okay, that connection makes the dialogue feel even more authentic. What about imports? Who do they buy from?
Well, they import crude petroleum and petroleum products, tying back to that net importer status. And also capital goods, machinery, equipment, things needed for industry.
And the partners. Let me guess.
You got it. China, Singapore, and Japan again.
So it's a very tight regional loop. Singapore, China, Japan are key partners for both buying and selling.
Precisely. Singapore in particular seems central, which brings us right back to Arnie sending his package there.
It's amazing, isn't it, how that simple act posting a parcel to Singapore suddenly feels like a tiny part of this massive flow of goods and money between these major Asian economies.
It really puts it in perspective. Learning the language for that transaction connects you in a small way to these huge global dynamics.
Yeah, it shows the value isn't just communication, but understanding the world the language operates in. So that really wraps up our journey for this deep dive. We went from a simple post office conversation
Focusing on practical Indonesian.
through the key vocabulary, the importance of politeness markers like Ananda,
And then mastering those powerful Berapa questions for asking how much or how long.
and finally we zoomed out to see how sending that one parcel connects to Indonesia's role as a major complex economy in Southeast Asia, deeply intertwined with partners like Singapore.
It's quite a journey from primacy to global trade insights.
It really is. So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over.
Yeah, think about this. How do these small everyday interactions, these linguistic moments like asking how much is the express mail,
Yeah.
how do they actually reflect and plug into that huge, complicated economic web that connects countries?
Right. How does knowing even a little bit of a language, enough to send a package, maybe open up a window not just to talking to people, but to appreciating these bigger global flows?
It's something to consider. That practical language skill might be a key to understanding more than you initially think.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep making those connections in your own learning.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe.